Hello, thanks for joining me here for the second part of the Barnes Foundation. I'm moving up to the first video was on the first floor, and now I'm walking up to the second floor, and first thing you see is this great Matisse mural. Henri Matisse came to the Barnes Foundation and painted this. Here we see an El Greco painting. This monk is contemplating death. I was thinking that that was a common subject for paintings in the past, but in the 1900s, I can't think of any examples of something, a painting about death. Here we move on to an outstanding portrait by Louis Cranach, and it just shows all the another example of all the different styles that you're going to see in the Barnes Foundation. So when I'm looking at these, I'm just walking into galleries, and whatever catches my eye, I decided to film. And so if you want to see details on all these paintings, you can go to the Barnes Foundation website, and they have all the paintings and all the dimensions and all of the artists there. Here's that interesting Henri Rousseau that one of my favorites, and I really like that. And then when I was looking around on another wall, I found an American who was very similar to this kind of primitive Henri Rousseau style. Here it is. Here's this American. His name is John Kane, and this one's from around 1928. So it was a couple decades after Henri Rousseau. So, but it was just there's a lot of interesting connections that I made while I was looking through these galleries. Here's a very primitive work of art, and one of the things I was thinking about during my visit was all of the different cultures here, and I looked it up, and there's like works of art from 60 different cultures in all of these galleries. And you know, Barnes loved art, obviously, and he used his wealth to buy art. And he I think he had a scientific background, and he was a doctor, and he kind of, to me, he approached it in an anthropological mindset, in that he wanted to take a snapshot in an objective way of all the art of his time. And he did just an amazing, outstanding job, and there's a great lesson here if you want to learn about art. And in the lobby, there is a portrait of Dr. Barnes painted by Giorgio de Chirico, and one of the staff told me that there's a drawing of the portrait up here somewhere. So I was out on looking for that on my way through the galleries. Here's a great Van Gogh, one of the brothels. And here we move into another gallery. Take a panorama view here. Here's some Renoir. And here's a Picasso, very early blue period Picasso. For some reason, I was thinking about how well he did these arms coming forward. It's kind of hard to do as an artist, but he did a great job. Here's a Modigliani. One thing about Modigliani, I think of him now as a minimalist. He's making very simple, minimal lines for everything. And he was influenced by Brancusi, who was also similar in that way. Here's another primitive right next to it. So, you know, there's so many different types of art, types of artists. It's really enjoyable. Here's a Modigliani, and notice how the head is turned sideways. And Modigliani was Italian, and the pros say that, so it's said that he was influenced by the Italian Madonna paintings. Here's a Paul Signac. Of course, he was a friend of Van Gogh. Here's a Jules Pascin painting. So you have like some of these artists are very, very famous, but then you have all these lesser known artists. Here's a Henri Cross, pointillist type, which you very rarely see. Here's a Renoir now, and the Renoir, he's got this canopy, light coming through this canopy, and there's some dappled light of the friends underneath the trees. This room, we kind of moves into some work on paper, and there's more drawing galleries up here. Here's a Paul Klee. Henri Rouault. Now here's a Matisse, and it's, you see a variety of Matisse here. Like, notice how there's not really finished. You kind of had some white spaces between some of the objects, and the skin of the people are kind of purplish. So we're going to compare that to another one we'll see later on of Matisse. Here's another Paul Klee. I like to keep moving, but I could spend a lot of time looking at closely at each of these. And then here's more of a conventional commercial watercolor. Here's a Henri Matisse there in the middle, and he kind of more finished that. He, instead of leaving those white outlines, he filled in the space. So you can, I like both of them, but you can kind of see a little bit of how his process worked. Henri Matisse is just amazing the way he just left it like that, and was happy to leave it kind of unfinished, you could say. So some of these rooms up here had these cabinets with little sculptures that were really enjoyable. And we're going to look closely through some of these. You could, here's a Soutine still life, and then now we start to get into the Japanese flash there. Here's a Monticelli, who Van Gogh admired. Here is a Haim Soutine, very, very strange picture. Some of his are hard to look at for me. Here's a Marie Laurencin. She was around in the Picasso world, but had her own individual style. Here's another Soutine. Now we go way back, time travel to the Egyptian period. And here's a close-up of some of these Greek and Roman statues. You can close up on some of these, and I look closely at these and allow the spirit of the Greek and Roman civilization to penetrate into my heart and mind. So there, with all the different cultures here at the Barnes that you're going to see examples of, there's 60 different at least 60 different cultures of art from different areas. And so, as I said, I kind of make a lot of associations when I look at these art, for this variety of art. Here's another great Egyptian relief. It can all be seen as modern. One thing I like to do is see all of it as modern art. Here's a great Chinese by Wang Wei. There's Renoir, Cezanne, and here's a more finished Matisse. A primitive one, kind of similar colors to the Matisse. Chinese fan. So in this Matisse, you can see how he really went over the skin and the background, and it's just one way to examine his process, which he was very honest and transparent. Another Chinese fan. So I'm still looking for that Giorgio de Chirico drawing. This was a great cabinet, and one thing in the top left, there's a vase, but they call it an amphora, a Greek amphora. And usually there's drawings on those, but in the kind of the belly of the amphora, because it was just a bunch of horizontal lines. Very modern type of design. Here are some African pieces. And here it was. Here it is, the Giorgio de Chirico drawing on the left, and there's on the right is the painting done by Giorgio de Chirico. So I found what I was looking for. Here's some more drawings, and here are some Picasso drawings. But there's a Degas ballerina. Some more African masks. Just really enjoying art for art's sake. Stop here. Here's a this African mask made me think of Modigliani. It's simplified form. But here is a Lipschitz, and I live on the West Coast. I never see these in museums out here, but I've seen them in books, and I was really very happy to see these at the Barnes Foundation. So that just wraps it up here at the Barnes Foundation. This is the second floor. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in another video.